Hi there, welcome to the Selectmen meeting. It's October 10th, call to order. Everyone's here but Lonnie. Can I have a motion for the last minutes?
Move the last minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, new business. Dawn.
Yes, the first order of business and some important business is to announce our new code officer, Scott Dvorak, who's here with us this evening. He was the unanimous choice and selection of our selection committee, a two-tiered process, and so congratulations for getting through that arduous process. And he comes to us from the town of Gorham, where he served as the assistant code officer for 3.5 years. He has 30 years construction experience, and or over 30 years construction experience, and all of the requisite certifications to be our new CEO. So congratulations and welcome. We're all looking forward to working with you. And so you're here this evening for the Board of Selectmen to consider your appointment.
Can you stand up at the podium? Over there.
And welcome to the podium.
Yes.
This won't be the last time you're in front of me.
So you're the face that everybody's going to come and see at town office for the new code enforcement officer. So I want everybody to recognize who you are.
Oh.
Anybody have any questions for him?
Well, Don's already congratulated him, but we haven't appointed you yet.
Well, I've done my part.
Joe just likes busting on people really bad. All right, if there's no questions,
I'll make a motion to appoint Scott Dvorak.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Congratulations.
Thank
you very much.
And your start date will be the 24th.
Correct.
And for those of you watching at home, we do have an interim temporary code enforcement officer, Bruce Smith, and so he'll be continuing until that time. We are thankful for the help that we've gotten from our neighboring communities of Casco, Poland, and Gray. So we've had a raft of code officers from other towns helping us. But I know Mary Quirk, your assistant, will be very glad to see you come on board.
I bet you will be.
So it's been hectic.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, Scott, for coming tonight.
So I definitely look forward to working for the town. So.
Oh, and I should say Scott lives in Bridgeton.
Yes.
Oh, so you have a shorter ride.
Yes.
Which is pretty good.
Much shorter.
Great. Welcome, and thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is the RSU 14 Board of Directors update. So if you guys like to, or whoever, like to introduce yourself. All right.
It's a package deal tonight.
Hello, my name's Diana Freusland, and I'm the Vice Chair of the RSU 14 School Board. Thanks for inviting us tonight. Give a quick update of work we've done last year. One thing that we accomplished last year, or a group of community members actually, is we have a new 5-year strategic plan for the RSU 14. Our first goal is called Design for Learning, which means we are striving to have all students engaged in authentic, personalized learning experiences to master standards through multiple pathways. And our second goal is the environment for learning, which means that all students will continue to learn in a school environment that meets the developmental needs of learners and supports balance and quality of life for all members of the RSU 14 community. And 2 examples of work that happened last year for that goal was committees were formed to study our school start time. As you may have seen in the news, a lot of towns are doing that. So we had a committee. We don't have a recommendation yet. Hopefully there will be one this year of what we might be doing in the future, but we are studying our start time. And another committee was reviewing our homework practices. And our third goal is technology for learning. We'd like all students to be proficient users of technology and have consistent, equitable access to resources needed to support mastery of personalized learning goals. And to support that goal, as you probably are aware, we have MacBook laptops for students now all the way down to 5th grade because, as you all know, technology is really important nowadays, and we want our students to be proficient users of technology. And I brought with me tonight Janny Cummings and Anna Keeney. And Janny's going to talk to you a little bit about some policy work that we've been doing.
Hello. Oh, I've only been on the school board for a year, and I was not really aware of all the work that needed to happen. I know that you guys only show up once a week and make decisions, right? No, of course not. You do a lot of work behind the scenes getting ready for the decisions you have to make. The policy committee is one that I was really excited to be on, and that is a huge amount of work. Last year we did a lot of policies, but this upcoming year, we're doing 27 different policies and revising them, looking at them, sometimes reworking the entire policy. For example, some of them it's really simple. Some we just have to change the dates. That's not a biggie. Some we decide that there's no reason to change the policy, but we still have to look at it because it was a policy maybe enacted in 2015 or 2012, and we have to go over them. Some are really impossibly complicated, and the graduation policy is one such that we've been working on now for a long while, and we will continue to work on it. One of the difficulties with the graduation policy is the changes that the Department of Education is making, sometimes daily, weekly, on what we will require for a child to graduate from high school. It is, and we thought we were all prepared for that, but then they changed it, and so the graduation policy is under review again. Another policy that we just are working on is the food service policy, and what do you do about unpaid lunch balances? It's not the fault of the child that they didn't pay their lunch, but what do we do about recovering that money? Because it's a significant amount of money. A facilities use policy. We are on our 12th version of that policy, and to figure out what do we do about a fee schedule for use for the use of the buildings. What do we do about, there are all kinds of different questions about the facilities use. And the one that we just finished and had our first reading on in August was the academic co-curricular eligibility policy. And we want to make sure that that is fair and equitable over all of the schools in the district. And another big one that we're working on for this year is the grading and reporting policy. As you know, grading systems have changed, reporting systems have changed, and we have to be responsive to that. Anyway, there's 27 of them that we're looking at, and we are working hard. I'd like to say thank you especially to all the support that we get from the town for this very hard work.
And Anna's going to update you on our facilities.
I get the quick and easy one. Just to kind of recap what went on over the summer and bring you up to date. At Jordan Small, we had the roof, we did some repair and replacement on the roof. We had some leaking issues there, so that's been taken care of, as well as the gym. The outside was painted and we did some masonry work. Kind of as a result of the leaking roof, we had some other issues that needed to be taken care of. The same thing over at RES. We did replace and repair the roof over there, so they're all up and running now. But probably the biggest thing, and the one that everybody's seen and heard most about, is the playground at Raymond Elementary. We were really, really lucky that we had the National Guard come in. They spent 2 weeks actually set up, like, RES was their base for like 2 weeks. The soldiers slept there, they ate there, they did everything. They laid the groundwork for the playground, so they brought everything up to level where it needed to be, so that going forward, we're going to be able to go in and really get the playground updated. There's going to be a nice playing field for the kids, an open field, even space for them to sled in the winter, and really make it something that the kids can use during the day, but the community can use as well when they're not there. And part of that, too, was really neat to get to see. You know, the Guard was there right when the kids were getting out of school, so they got to actually see the Guard come in. We did an ice cream social, or the community held an ice cream social, so the kids could go in and get a tour of the grounds and see the big equipment and thank the soldiers. So that was kind of brought us all up to date, so we're really ready, laid the groundwork for a really cool play space for the kids there.
Thanks. And lastly, the biggest chunk of our work each year is the budget. And as you may have seen in the papers, it was a especially difficult year this past year because the state has essentially been flat funding education. However, we had some happy news this summer where we received some additional state subsidy, $664,000, of which 82% is being returned to the taxpayers. So we're very happy to report that. And also to let you know, you've probably seen in some of the local papers, there is a joint shared maintenance facility discussion that's going on between the RSU and the town of Wyndham. A couple of years ago, Wyndham had an initiative to build a new public works facility, and the voters ended up turning it down. It's essentially the same structure. The voters in Wyndham will be voting at the November election on the 7th, and the RSU shares that facility. That's our current arrangement. So I'd also like to announce that if you're interested, there is an informational meeting and a public forum on Thursday. It's from 6:30 to 9 in the Wyndham High School cafeteria. So if you have questions, there's going to be a presentation all about the project and a chance for you to ask any questions you might have. And also just to remind everybody, we meet the first and third Wednesdays of the month. Usually the first meeting is in Wyndham. The second meeting of the month is here. We'd love to have people come to our meetings. Another good resource that we have, the district puts out a newsletter called The Link. You probably have seen this. It ends up as an attachment in your Eagle little newspaper that we get, and we have a fall and a spring edition that come out. It's good information about what's going on in the RSU. You can also visit our website, rsu.org, rsu14.org, and I think that's it. If you guys had any questions for us.
Diana, this, excuse me, this new garage thing, is it true that Raymond's gonna be liable for some of the debt service if it passes? And why? Since it's a Wyndham building, and I thought we had an understanding with Wyndham that anything they build in Wyndham, they're responsible for, why would Raymond taxpayers be liable to pay part of that debt service?
I'm glad you asked. It'll be a similar arrangement to what we have now. Wyndham owns the structure, and we are just using the space. So if the voters pass that project, Wyndham will own that structure, and the RSU 14 will continue to use the space. So we have not worked out the financing of the arrangement, but we really have two options. We'll have either, I believe it's called a Memorandum of Understanding, where we would share in the bond for, I think it's 20 years. And again, you can go to the informational meeting for more information on how that would work. Or we would be charged a lease payment. So, and either or would probably be about the same. But no, we do not own the building. Wyndham voters are voting on that project, and it will be their building.
But I thought when we had the whole secession idea, it was agreed that anything Wyndham builds, the Wyndham taxpayers are responsible. And if we were to build something here in Raymond, the Raymond taxpayers would be responsible. So how are we getting sucked into having to pay some debt service here?
Because we already share, we currently pay towards the facility right now because we share that facility. So if they build a new facility, we will still continue to use that facility. RSU 14 can build their own maintenance facility. However, as we have studied that, that's probably not the most cost-effective route. So I think the most efficient route is for us to continue to share space there. We use approximately 25% of the space. So as we've looked at that, and again, none of the financing is cast in stone. It's a project that has to be approved by the Wyndham taxpayers. Do you want to add?
How can it not be approved in stone if you guys don't even know the numbers? So that's where I have the gripe with, and I also have the gripe that here we have to pay for something that we don't even get a vote on.
I think the clarification that I would offer is at this point, first of all, the RSU hasn't committed to anything. We like the idea. We want more information before we go forward. And the other part of it is we're not paying for the building. We're paying because our buses that our students in Raymond, the buses are housed there, the maintenance utility vehicles that our schools use are housed there. So it's more, we're not paying for the facility itself, but we're paying sort of our rent, if you will, which is not the official word that we're using, but just to help it be a little more understandable. We're paying to use that space. We're going to do that whether we build our own building, whether we continue in the old shamble rundown building that we're in right now. No matter what it is, we need a place to put our buses.
If we built something here in Raymond, would Wyndham taxpayers pick up some of that debt service here?
They would have to help pay for the cost of storing the vehicles and maintaining the vehicles as well.
But, okay,
And
you
you
guys might want
are-
to talk to the town of Wyndham, because the town of Wyndham is quoting the school board as saying that this is a priority, and you guys were on board with the town council as far as saying this is a priority, and you agree that this should be moved forward. So you guys are standing up here saying that you guys as a school board hasn't even agreed to go forward with it yet, but how can you not agree to go forward with it when it's on a November ballot?
No, I just said we can build our own facility. The RSU can build their own facility, but that's really not cost effective. I mean, minimum, it would probably be 3 or 4 million, so that's really not the efficient use of taxpayers' money. It makes more sense and it'll be more efficient if we share space with Wyndham.
Well, I'm gonna let Dawn pick up on this conversation
This
too.
one really interests me because a while back, for several years, we had a program here called One Raymond, where we shared resources with the school, town and school, to our mutual benefit. The RSU elected to end that relationship, and they privatized the services. And you know, we could argue whether that was good or bad decision, but I think that, well, I actually think it was not a great decision in many instances, because we had the resources here. We could cooperate together and help each other with our costs. And so one of the explanations that were given to me was that, well, Wyndham doesn't do that. We don't have those relationships with Wyndham, and so everybody's got to be the same. You know, you can't have that sharing of resources as Raymond traditionally had done, because Wyndham doesn't do it. And now you're jumping into a big project with Wyndham that by any measure is going to be, I believe, exponentially more expensive than what you're doing today. So why aren't you doing what you did with Raymond, looking at privatization, looking at outsourcing, looking at alternatives, and not just jumping into this big new building? I'm not saying you don't need to maintain your buses, you do, but there's a lot of distance between where you are now and where you're going with this, if I'm understanding it correctly, and it doesn't, to me, look like there's been a whole lot of analysis of the options. I didn't feel like there was a lot of analysis of the options when you withdrew from Raymond, from the Raymond Public Works facility, from cooperating with Raymond Public Works on plowing, from our joint maintenance agreements. You know, I felt like you just wanted to privatize and did it. And so this is the polar opposite, the antithesis of what you did here. And so that, to me, is a real serious intellectual disconnect.
Well, Don, the other thing you said too is he was told by Don Davis that the lease agreement that we will be paying is substantially higher than what we were paying now. But right here on October 3rd, because you just said, Anna, that you guys haven't endorsed it, you guys haven't.
No, I said we haven't agreed to anything yet.
Okay.
We have said that this is something that we're interested in learning more about.
Then you want to talk to the town of Wyndham, because on October 3rd on their Facebook page, they put the proposed shared vehicle maintenance facility is endorsed by both the RSU 14 School Board and the Wyndham Town Council.
And the other thing I would think too, so we came here tonight to speak about what we've done so far this year. If you would really like to get in depth with the, you know, the proposed facility, I would really encourage you. We have a committee separate from sort of a subcommittee that really has been responsible for diving in, really participating in the research, really looking at all the possibilities. I think it would be fantastic if you would like to invite a couple of those committee members to come and speak with you and really give you a good idea of what they're doing, what their plans are, what they're looking at. Because
I think by then it's going to be too late. November, you
late,
guys are
yeah.
voting.
I just don't feel like it's really fair though for us to come in and to not have not be able to give you the answers that you're looking for.
This appears to me to be passing the buck, to be perfectly honest. You guys, you three are elected members from Raymond to the school board. And what you're saying is, we can't give you good answers, get somebody else to give us the answers. No, we want you to get us the answers. That's what you're there for.
And once again, why should we question this? I saw this literally one night watching a June 21st school board meeting, flipping through the stations. And I called Dawn the next day going, oh my God, what is this? And I don't think that we should, as the select board, should have to be hunting down the information, to be honest. That's why you guys are there to question this. And like, I called Joe and he goes, you know, we have this agreement that anything built in Wyndham, a new footprint, and one of your board members, can't think of his name, he's the one that even questioned it too, because this is a new footprint, do we have to pay for this? And, you know, and I know you guys got an email as far as what's on our agenda too, and it's right on here too, the new bus garage referendum question that we would be asking about it. And it's a big ticket item right now. And, you know, one of the things that was brought up as to one of the reasons why you guys are doing the new garage is because employees have to walk too far from their cars to their buses, and they're falling and they're getting hurt. That's what the gentleman said.
I know, that's one of the things he said, yeah.
Right, exactly, but meanwhile.
But that's not the reason why we're doing this.
And I'm just saying it's a lot of money that we don't even get a vote on, but open up our checkbooks to.
I understand. I just wanted to respond a little bit to Rolf. I voted to pursue this. I think it's a good idea. I'm a taxpayer and I think it's a good idea. I'm also a school board member, and I think it's a good idea. I think, and to go to Joe, yes, if Raymond builds a new school, then Raymond is responsible. If Wyndham builds a new school, Wyndham is responsible. But this is something that we both use, both towns use. So that's why we're a part of that. That's why we're part of this funding.
Go ahead.
I'm just telling you as a selectman representing the town of Raymond, that I think you as the school committee members should be looking out for the citizens of Raymond and the taxpayers of Raymond, and the fact that we're going to be picking up debt service on a building that we have no vote on is not in the best interest of Raymond at all. Not even close to being in the best interest of Raymond.
I would encourage you to go Thursday night. Perhaps
if I had time, I would, but I don't.
Well, you've all been invited to attend. Perhaps if you have
just got the invite.
Questions, there's been numerous open houses to go. I know it's been in the paper.
No.
As far as the agenda,
I haven't seen it in the paper.
And as far as the agenda, there was a miscommunication because I was in contact with people in the office and said if that was the intent of tonight's meeting, then I was for sure going to bring some of those committee members because we could have had a presentation. But was told, no, that was not necessary, just do an update.
But this is a big
So I don't know why you weren't
Diana.
told that.
This is, I was. And she
yes,
called
and
me
if
on
that
it.
is
But
what
this
you
is a
wanted, I would have
big-ticket item
brought
that you guys
the
need to have
appropriate
answers
people.
for. No. Stop a minute. Seriously,
settle down.
this is why we're questioning this here. And who else are we supposed to ask if we can't ask you guys for answers? Who are we supposed to ask? We called Don Davis. We had Tony Plant call us. I mean, that's not our job to do that, but we do that to try to get answers, is what it is. That's why you guys are voted, to be able to answer questions and defend this.
And I don't know who sets the agenda, and if you're the chair,
I
I
do.
imagine you do. So I had sent numerous emails clarifying if that was to be the topic that you were interested in, because if so, I would have brought the necessary people and presentation, because all that's been done, but was told no, it was just to be an update.
How is it already done? How's the presentation done when you guys are standing up there saying that you haven't, you want to hear more on this, but meanwhile you're voting on whether it's going to happen or not come November, and you guys don't even know, like, we're 25% of this building that we have 5 buses that stay in Raymond. It doesn't even use down there. And I don't know how you guys cannot know more answers to be able to come back to taxpayers here in Raymond.
25%. The school, the RSU has 25%, and of that,
We have
Raymond has
36%.
36%.
For 5 buses on a much more. We're paying $20,000 on a lease right now that we use for the building that's there now. It's going to be substantially more. Don Davis already told Don Willard that. So
It will be substantially
yeah,
more.
on a
The
building
that's
that
there
we won't own,
currently
have nothing to do with
is a
anything.
modular, because RSU had no offices. So we had to lease a modular so that we even had office space for meetings and for staff, because the building is so undersized for their own town, let alone to have us share the space and the maintenance facility. And then there's been different things that have happened with rulings. We're not allowed to wash our buses there anymore because of the proximity to the river. So we've not been able to do that. So we've had to set up a wash station at the high school, which we will only be able to utilize for a few months because then it will freeze. And if we don't wash the buses and care for our buses, we're going to be buying them more frequently if they all have to be left outside, which is a waste of taxpayer money. So there's many good points to a better facility. It's been woefully inadequate for them, and we are sharing that space. So if you went and toured the facility and were educated as to why they are doing this project, that would probably be helpful.
Go ahead, Don.
Okay. I'm a believer in working together. That's why we did the One Raymond program. So back to that. You know, I think that is the direction we should be going. And so first point I would make is goose gander rule, though. I think what's good for, you know, Wyndham is also good for Raymond. And but bigger point is analysis. You know, analysis of options, and does it make financial sense? You know, I don't see it in this bus garage. I really don't. I think there would be other options that might be available that would be less costly. It looks to me that it's being possibly done as a, you know, cooperative project that benefits the town of Wyndham more than the RSU. And so if you were to follow at least what I've been told, the analysis that was done, if there was an analysis done about ending the One Raymond, that the private sector options were a more cost-effective option, a better option for the RSU because you had control and because you would not be in a relationship with the town. So why aren't we doing that with this project? I'm sure there are companies that would love to service the buses. There may be facilities you can lease. You're not going to own anything probably at the end of this lease. To me, it looks like a one-sided deal, and it's a good deal for Wyndham. I can see Wyndham pursuing it, but why are we pursuing it?
Okay, so your questions are that you want us to provide you with an analysis of why they're doing it.
Well, what you looked at for options besides this.
You want to know why we're not doing the One Raymond.
Well, no, that's I guess old news. That's
well,
old
I mean,
news.
but you brought it up several times.
Well, I brought it up because this kind of flies in the face. You're expanding your relationship with Wyndham after you have completely curtailed every relationship you had with Raymond.
Okay, and you also want us to discuss the private sector options, is that correct?
Sure. Have you looked at other options? I'm just asking.
Right. I'm not aware, I don't know what they've looked at as, what the committee that was designed to do this looked at. I'm not, you asked me about policy, and you know, then I can be giving you some information.
The only reason I ask is because that was what you should do, I think, first issue. And number two issue is that, you know, that's what they said they did when they ended the relationship with Raymond, is they looked at their alternatives and they decided that because of the span of control and the cost factors, it would be better not to work with the town. So why are we working with Wyndham when we don't work with Raymond?
Okay, are there any other things that you want me to pursue?
One more question for you guys is,
Yeah.
so November is the vote. Say Wyndham does decide to push this vote through. What's the next step then?
We'll get back to you on those. How's that?
Has Wyndham voted this down once already?
Yes, they have.
Yes, they have.
So-
This was the same initiative, I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
So why is it coming back?
Because the need is great. I went to the presentation that they had at the bus garage. I had not, and the town facilities. I was not aware that, for example, when all of the bays are filled, which is very easy to happen because there's only 3 of them, when all the bays are filled, if there are any buses that have to be worked on or any things that have to be worked on, they have to be worked on outside, which may not be a big deal in this kind of weather. It's probably a big deal when it's snowing or when there is any other kind of weather. I'm just telling you, that was the thing that really impressed me most.
There used to be buses fixed right down here in this public
I
building.
understand that, but they also were pulled in to be fixed, right?
In this garage
Yeah,
right down here?
right. That's what that being used for now.
It's being used for public works because you ended the relationship. And
Okay.
we made that available to you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was just made available at
Yeah,
zero
no charge.
cost? And so you walked away from a zero-cost option to build one in Wyndham?
And have the Raymond taxpayers pick up the cost.
I understand how you feel. I really do.
It's not of really feelings, it's more about, you know, what makes sense for the taxpayers.
On a completely different subject, Anna, I know Alyssa's got great news at home, so that's why she was going to be here tonight to give us an update on the playground. What's the situation as far as playground equipment for the kids? I remember watching one meeting that said that there wasn't enough money in the budget to be able to put playground equipment up, that they'd have to do it somewhere else or do something else. What's the status of that? Do you know?
Yeah, with this, I'm sure you all are aware that this was a particularly rough budget season. So we did have to, we elected not to go forward as quickly with some of the options. The playground was one that, unfortunately, we've kind of slowed down a little bit so that we can make sure immediate needs are met within the district.
Do you know, is there a timeline? I know Alyssa's been working.
She's worked so hard.
She has for 4 years, I think it is now.
Yeah.
And so I guess when does this come to an end? Do you know? As far as
If I'm
when
not
we get the
mistaken,
playground?
we're
I know that
Next year is when.
the primary school down there has 2 new playgrounds, I think. I know the Manchester school has a new playground down there. So
These
I guess I'm just kind of wondering.
Yeah, the projects have been done in phases, so it's no different than what's been done in Wyndham. That's been quite a lengthy project at the primary school. So this is not complete. We still need to do the loam and the grass, and there's a fence that is planned. There's a couple of other things that still need to be completed.
So you guys don't have a timeline as to when or?
No, it depends what happens this budget season.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments for the board? Nope. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Library update, financials and programs.
Bet you're looking forward to that now, aren't you?
I'm Allison Griffin, I'm the library director at Raymond Village Library, and I'm just going to give a brief update of the programs and services and the financials at the end with Lee. Slide 2, please. Our primary focus this past year has been to provide patrons with a community space that is welcoming, accessible, and that provides a comfortable place to read, access information, and participate in engaging programs and events. Next slide. To achieve this, improving the physical access and creating a patron-oriented atmosphere was made a priority over the past year. Through a generous donation from Basil and Dia Chigas in memory of Raymond residents Charles and Florence Chigas, the library was provided with the opportunity to renovate and modernize the staff office space and circulation area. An anonymous challenge grant combined with the generosity of the Raymond business community and individual donors also allowed for the renovation and construction of an ADA accessible restroom. Next slide, please. We'd like to thank Island Cove Building and Development, Paris Farmers Union, Miller Flooring, Hancock Lumber, Dave Blanchard, Woodbury Consulting, Mike Knight, Tim Sanborn, Nick Hardy, Raymond Public Works, and all the donors and volunteers who helped make these renovations possible. I'm sorry, that was a very long list of people.
No, that's good. Yeah.
As you can see, the renovations resulted in a dramatic difference in the overall look and efficiency of the library workspace. That's our old circulation, our old office space, and the new spaces on the right. Next slide, please. A new outdoor reading space in the community garden was also constructed and donated by Highwire Hydroponics, so that was of no charge to the library at all. These projects, along with a 6-month space reallocation project conducted by the staff, have resulted in a more accessible and welcoming environment for all library residents and patrons. Next slide. In addition to improvements to the physical space within the library and the community garden, new patron services have been implemented. Patrons who are unable to visit the library due to short or long-term illness or disability can now sign up for at-home delivery services of books, DVDs, and magazines. Notary services are also now available by appointment, and technology training sessions are being scheduled on a monthly basis. Next slide. As of September, the library houses 21,750 books, audiobooks, magazines, and DVDs. The selection of materials continues to be a priority for all staff. Through ongoing collection assessment and review of professional journals, they are ensuring a balanced and current collection is available to meet the diverse needs and interests of a wide variety of patrons within the limited space available to us. Next slide. The library circulated 20,079 items with 10,753 patron visits to the library over the past year. To expand access to materials beyond what we have in our collection, interlibrary loan services were provided that allowed patrons to borrow materials from other participating libraries. We have weekly van delivery from Southern Maine Library District, provided access to a wide variety of holdings, which allowed us to do 477 interlibrary loan requests in the past year. Next slide. In addition to print materials, the library provides patrons with access to computers and online resources. The library is dedicated to providing this access and currently maintains 4 Windows computers with access to the internet and Microsoft Office suite. 1,055 individual computer sessions were logged over the past year. We log everyone. Printing, copying, scanning, and faxing service and 24/7 Wi-Fi access are also available. Online resources, including the Koha online catalog, Marvel, which provides patrons with free full-text magazines, newspapers, and reference materials, and the Cloud Library, which provides patrons with access to downloadable audiobooks and ebooks, have been heavily utilized over the past 12 months. Children's services continue to be a priority. Children participate in baby and preschool story time, Lego Club, and craft time on a weekly basis. Next. A new teen advisory group was formed over the summer. Teens are invited to participate in community service activities and advise the library on purchases and programs that would be of interest to their age group. RVL's new reading therapy dog now provides a fun and non-judgmental atmosphere for children to practice their reading skills. Lucy is a certified therapy dog from Therapy Dogs International, and she meets with young readers on a monthly basis. The summer reading program hosted several special events, including a fire safety session, a mad science presentation, a Hancock lumber presentation, cupcake decorating, and a Chewonki reptile program sponsored by Loon Echo. Families also enjoyed access to reduced fee community passes to the Portland Children's Museum and the Maine Wildlife Park. The library continues to host a popular adult book group each month, along with multiple author talks for adults, including presentations this year by Roger Guay, Tess Gerritsen, Bruce Coffin, Brenda Buchanan, Michelle Patch, Christopher Morin, Ann Gass, and Monica Wood. A total of 185 programs were held for both children and adults, with 2,136 attendees during the last fiscal year.
You guys do a lot of counting.
We do. A grant from the Ezra Keats Foundation allowed for the creation of a monarch butterfly garden and a life cycle observation and release program for children of all ages. An additional grant from Loon Echo allowed for a Chewonki reptile presentation and the addition of circulating nature backpacks in our collection. In addition to annual appeal and challenge grant fundraisers, the Raymond community has supported the library through participating in a variety of fundraising activities, including the biannual garden tour, annual and ongoing book sales, spring plant sale, holiday basket and bake sale, bottle redemption program, and other special fundraising events throughout the year. Now that the physical space within the library has been addressed, plans are underway to add a science and technology station in the children's and YA room. Presentations and activities will include coding, robotics, circuitry, microbiology, and astronomy topics. Coding, circuitry, chemistry, and geology kits are being assembled as we speak and will be ready for circulation in October. Technology classes for children and teens on a variety of topics will also be starting in November. Collaborative efforts are underway with a variety of organizations in Raymond, including the Raymond School Department, the Raymond Hill Community Center, the Age-Friendly Communities Initiative, the Lions Club, the local 4-H chapter, and other local businesses and artists. Outreach programming is also underway with our first event held at Jordan Bay Place Community Room in September. These collaborative efforts have allowed for additional social and cultural enrichment opportunities for the residents of Raymond, such as Dr. Seuss Night, a holiday tree lighting ceremony, art displays, and a summer math program. The library also organized and coordinated the Everybody Loves Raymond Day this past summer, providing a family-friendly event, which included a boat parade, walking parade, games, and vendors. The Raymond Village Library is deeply appreciative of all the patrons, volunteers, and donors who continue to actively support the library. This support has been invaluable in enabling the library to fulfill its mission and commitment to the community. This community support has allowed us to save thousands of dollars on technology, maintenance, and operational expenses each year. We are truly grateful for the continuing support from the town of Raymond and the Raymond community. For a financial update, I'm going to turn things over to our treasurer, Lee Walker, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have on current library programs or services.
Any other questions? Allison?
I have no questions, but I did attend a recent presentation and a tour at the library, and it is by all means new. And I would I strongly advise anybody who can to see it for themselves. It's a wonderful place, and
Thank you.
you guys have done a terrific job.
I guess that and maybe Lee will address this, but based on it, and it may be too early to really see the results of it, but based on the improvements so far, have you seen any uptick in donations or anything like that as a result of that, or?
Yes.
Not really. I mean, not so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
But we have not, we're sort of coming into our fundraising season now, so that will be, we'll find out as to where that is. But what we have done is been able to really do a lot of community collaboration. Certainly our construction projects were a huge example of that. We had a lot of people step and donate their time, donate supplies to get these projects done. It was a lot of work, and a lot of people were very, very selfless and very, very generous in terms of contributing to those projects. So we are really grateful for all of those people who were involved in everything we were doing. So while all of that was going on, the board was working very hard on our financials, and we had a tremendous year. We were really lucky. There were several reasons why we had such a positive financial position at the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. The first thing was that we went through, we lost our library director on June 1st, and we actually went through the summer, which is the busiest time for the library, without a library director. We did not hire Allison, who has been awesome, and we are so thrilled to have her. She came in the middle of September. So we really pressed the rest of our staff and our volunteers, who were incredibly dedicated and came through with flying colors, to pick up the pieces. But it was a tough summer because these guys had to fill in that gap. The result of that was we saved a lot on payroll for on that line of our budget. So that was one thing that contributed to the positive financial bottom line. We also put a lot of effort into our fundraising. We looked at the beginning of last summer at our fundraisers, and while people were kind of, I think in the previous years, trying to come up with different things, we said, let's go back to basics and really focus on the fundraisers that we've had for a long time. And it ended up working out really well for us. So all of our smaller fundraisers that we do outside of the annual appeal all exceeded budget, some of them by quite a lot. We did very well with the garden tour, which again, there's an entire committee that works very, very hard on putting that together, and that did really well for us. So in the past, we had an issue with very high income numbers and them not producing the income that we were supposed to be generating. So we were very conservative with those numbers, and now we've really put the energy into those fundraisers, and they're producing for us. So we will be able to increase those numbers in the future, because I think that those are fundraisers that we can build on, and they will continue to grow. And I do want to thank everybody who was involved in all of our fundraisers last year, because a lot of work went into them, and it ended up working very well for us. We controlled our costs across the board. If you look at the operational expense numbers, we're very much in line. We're actually under our budget. And some of that is misleading because we made sure we had some grants that covered those expenses, plus we had some in-kind donations where people actually stepped up and donated supplies to us so that we didn't have to pull from those numbers. So that really helped the bottom line on that end as well. We had a very strong annual appeal. We did a ton of work on our mailing list. We went through our mailing list for the past, I don't know, 10 years and really looked and saw where people dropped off the list. We combined all that and dropped out duplicates and made sure that people who had moved away and, sort of redid that. And that produced a very, very strong annual appeal for us. Some of our donations were very large, either first-time donors or donors that hadn't given in a while. We did get one person who said they hadn't received an annual appeal in a while, and so they gave us more money this year since they hadn't been donating to us in the past. We are not sure whether that's a new level for the annual appeal that we will be able to rely on, or whether it's a one-time bump. So we'll know better this year as we send out our annual appeal letter in November to find out whether that's actually going to be something that we can rely on as for income. I'd say we're very optimistic about our finances this year, but it's still an unknown. We put a lot of effort into controlling costs and increasing our income, and it worked. And we just need to see whether that's something that's going to continue to build, or whether, how that's going to flesh out. Is it a new pattern, or is it just an anomaly? The one thing that we are also facing in the future is the required payroll increases. Our employees are above minimum wage, but not by huge amounts. So those costs are going to hit us. And so we are going to be needing that incremental income to cover those expenses, because those are increases that we will be required to do. And I think that's all I have. We again just want to thank the support of this board and of all of the town of Raymond people for the support that they've given us, and it seems to be that we're really coming together, and we're really excited about Allison and the programs, and so a lot of work was done over the last year, which we're very proud of. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have if you need any more detail.
No questions.
Okay. Paul, any questions?
No, I guess, so if I look at this, it looks as though you came out to the good for last year, about 25K.
Right.
Have you retrenched that back into try and recouping some of what you've been sucking out for the last few years?
Yeah, we just moved $15,000 back into our investment fund. So that's and again, we're waiting to see how our annual appeal does. Mm-hmm. But if the annual appeal continues to produce for us, then we will be able to funnel more money into our investments. But we do know that we have the payroll costs that are going to be coming down the line. And so it depends whether our income stays here or whether it ends up dropping back down some. I mean, I think we will continue to stay over our budget, but I don't know how much over budget.
Have you thought about how much you're going to be asking the town for next year?
We will stay flat.
Thank you.
The next slide is this year. Just very quickly, our income is in line. At this point, because we don't do, other than some book sales, we don't do any fundraisers in the summer, so the town funds is very supportive, very helpful for us as a cash flow, and our expenses are in line right now. We do have one line that's quite high relative to, I'm not sure if it shows up as it might in other places, but we had to replace our printer, and that was an expensive one-time hit. So we definitely have on supply, the supply line is a little high right now, but I think we'll be able to keep that in line as well.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If we can help you in any way, let us know.
That was a very comprehensive presentation.
All right. Moving right along. Quit claim deeds.
Okay.
Sue, you gonna do it? Because Sue's not here.
Does Sue's gonna do it?
The Sue can do it.
Okay, because all I know about it is what's on the summary, so.
Well, that's all I know about it. A person in town is trying to sell a property, and they can't get a clean title to it because there was a typo made in the book and page number on the original deed in 1999. So the book and page number that's on the deed that is in the folder that Donald has, or maybe Joe has it now, to sign, is the correct booking page. That has to be lodged with the Registry of Deeds before these folks can sell.
You know a lot more about it than I did.
Mm-hmm.
So is the one in our packet the right one too?
It should be the same one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to offer a quick claim deed to Village Vet Association, care of Ernest Vandermast, map 19, lot 43.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? All right. Thank you. All right. Assessing. Kurt's now here, so we can do him.
What, were you napping, Kurt? Where were you?
I appreciate Kurt coming all the way over, but I thought maybe that wasn't necessary, but I thought you'd want to see his smiling face and hear that.
Yeah, wait a minute. Last month it wasn't smiling very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, very, very pleased with your work, and I'm recommending that we extend the contract for another year under the current terms, and Kurt has agreed to that, so hopefully you'll agree that that's the right direction. He's been, I think you've done an exceptionally good job for the town.
Any questions? Kind of motion?
I'll make a motion to extend the contract for Kurt LaBelle as a tax assessor for another year.
It's so enthused. Look at you, they talked it up. All right, all in favor? All right.
You know what I like about Kurt? He doesn't take any crap from anyone.
That's what makes me so good.
I know. I love it.
I walked in his office the next day just to make sure he was still there.
Boy, this is all bad PR to go right on the television.
I don't care. They know how we are at meetings. You're kidding me?
Sign that, right?
All right, discussion of filling Budget Finance Committee vacancy. All right, so there's a current vacancy on the Budget Finance Committee. What does the board want to do, or who's got that?
Anyone expressing interest?
I haven't had anyone express this interest now.
Do you know of anybody? Brenda?
Nobody with this.
She would come bang on my door.
I would, my preference would be then to leave it at 8.
Yeah, leave
And
it open.
let it run. Good, you know, I would, the only reason I would want to put someone in there is if someone had expressed interest.
Right.
You know, with the hopes that they would do that with the intent of then running for the remainder of the seat, but just to,
seek somebody out.
just to, you know, I mean, they're gonna need the same number of votes, plus votes, whether you have 8 people or 9 people. So from a handicapping the board, it's not gonna handicap it any more than it is already, so.
I agree.
That's good thinking, yeah.
I just trying to point someone who has no interest in doing it.
Yeah,
No,
'cause-
you're just
Not
putting a
worth
body in there, warm body.
Right.
All right, so do we need a motion or anything on that? Just leave it?
Just leave it.
Yep, just leave it. Good. Okay. Sue, you have a draft municipal election write-in ordinance?
Yes.
Just share with us?
That's,
And what I found was that I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so I went and looked at the current miscellaneous ordinances, and I found that there was already one pertaining to elections, but in reviewing it, I found that it's basically regurgitating what's already in Title 30A. So it's unnecessary. What we don't have is something that really says that the town of Raymond will have all their municipal elections governed by 30A and where silent 21A, which is a formality. It isn't 100% necessary, but it's good to have. So I thought if we struck basically the whole ordinance as it sits and add in its place this governing rules of municipal elections, and then had any exceptions like this for write-ins that you proposed, then if we came up with anything else, we could add it to this and have one place where all the election stuff is, if that makes any sense. And this isn't something that, because it's an ordinance, it isn't
Go to
something
town
that the
meeting.
selectmen can approve, you can approve it to be passed on to town meeting for approval.
So it's got the 15
Oh,
votes in there too.
Mhm.
You know, we're gonna do that, right?
That's what,
Yeah.
yeah, make sure, yeah.
Mhm. And you had asked me to come up with a draft, and that was, I'm not sure if this is all the wording you would like to have, but I kind of plagiarized a couple of different towns who were kind enough to share with me what they had in their charters.
It's public information, so it's not plagiarism.
Yes. Well, they gave me permission to plagiarize, so I think the plagiarism goes away.
I'll make a motion to pass this ordinance on to the next town meeting.
But
I'll
doesn't
second
doesn't it
that.
have to go to a public hearing because it's an ordinance, and then go to the town meeting?
You are correct.
It does, yes. Mhm. But, and the public hearing, that would probably be closer to the town meeting, I would assume,
Yep.
like in
You
April or so.
have a public hearing during
Yeah,
a
Yeah, that-
selectman meeting, so we
That's
could
true.
do
Just
it at
do
the
it and
next
then get it
selectman
done.
meeting and
At the
move it
next
on.
one, okay.
Yeah.
and then that would be one step down.
Mhm.
All right, so we have a motion.
It's been second.
To move the public
Moved and
hearing.
second.
All right. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right,
Nope.
all in favor? All right, so Sue, you're gonna put that on for a public
Mhm.
hearing for the next meeting.
Mhm.
Cool. All right, Sue, you're up again. Appointment-
It's election time again, and there is a state election, so I need a warden appointed. And I've suckered Sue, I've asked Sue Carr if she would be willing to be warden again. And this is a role that at first, a couple of years ago now, Sue was a little nervous about doing. I can tell you she's made one of the best wardens that I've had at elections. She's really taken the role and run with it, and has done very, very well with it.
So, what we have, 4 referendum questions?
We have 4 referendum questions for the state.
Yeah.
It's the York County Casino, enhanced access to affordable health care, a $105 million transportation bond, and a constitutional amendment to reduce the volatility in state pension funding requirements. But we also have a municipal election, which you signed the town warrant for at the last meeting, to elect a member of the Portland Water District Board of Trustees. And that particular one, I'm trying an experiment this time. I didn't want to spend $800 on an off-year election to program the voting machine to count that particular ballot. So we're gonna try hand counting and see how that goes for smaller elections.
I'm not sure how many people are actually going to come out to vote this year.
We have 2 absentees so far. I'm very
Great.
excited.
Terrific.
She's saving us $800.
There you go.
Mhm.
I'll make a
try.
motion to appoint Suzanne M. Carr as the warden for the November 7th, 2017 election.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? All right, next, public comment. You guys just look bored back there, sitting there like hanging out. All right, no public comment? No? Anyway, all right, selectman comment.
My lips are sealed.
No, you were just talking to me. Nope, moving right along. Town manager's report.
Well, I'm sure you all have noticed the striking new sign at the town office. And so I'm pleased to announce that that is now up and operational. The one at Public Safety, if everything went well, may be operational tonight. Woodbury and team are down there, or were down there working on it. And we had a number of issues with the conduit, the fiber optic, you name it, issues, problems, but they've worked through that. And I think the vendor has done a very good job, Neocraft Signs. I'd also like to thank the involved staff members who led the project, along with Nathan, and our former CEO was involved, and of course I've been involved at some level. So I think it's been a team effort, and I'm very happy with the end result. I know originally I was a little concerned about the color sign, but I think it gets the messages across. But it's not a complete eye burner. hopefully. And so we've gotten a lot of positive comment on it, except we have got a few people who say, well, it ought to be two-sided. And so I suppose we could have that discussion. We are obtaining numbers on that, but that's the only negative I've heard, is that there ought to be a sign on the back side of it. But so I'm very happy about that.
I guess the telling thing on that's going to be see how what the visibility is when the snow hits, because that was the whole reason behind not doing the double-sided there, was because the line of sight on that.
I'm personally not troubled by it, and I'm actually, because I'm a bit anal retentive, I think I'm a little bit concerned with the cables and the wires, which would be, I guess, intruding into the backside of the sign. But the thing that bothers me the most is it would be off about 2 degrees from being parallel to the road. So that really bothers me, but I'm told that isn't a big deal.
2 degrees?
But anyway, so.
Seriously?
Because we had turned it to face the traffic,
Right.
thinking it was going to be one-sided.
So we have to turn it.
Well, we won't be turning it because of the cost and the logistics, so you'd have to live with it. But anyway, that's something for, I guess, a future discussion. I know there's at least one member of the Budget Committee that wants to discuss that. I'll be attending the ICMA conference from Saturday, October 24th to Wednesday, October 25th. And I think you have an election update you want to give?
When I put this together, I neglected the election. Closed period for registration begins on October 18th, and that means that folks have to come in and register to vote in person. The deadline to request an absentee ballot is November 2nd, the Thursday before the election. And after that, folks can still get an absentee, but it's called a special circumstance. So you have to have a reason at that point. I mean, if you're suddenly in the hospital, suddenly called away, it can't be suddenly going to Disneyland, because generally those aren't.
Suddenly called.
Yeah. So anything that's planned doesn't count. And so that's those 2 dates I did forget to put in your packet, and I did mean to.
So we have our dates for our upcoming regular meetings proposed at November 14th and December 12th.
Everybody good with that?
And the upcoming holiday schedule, Friday, November 10th, is Veterans Day.
What are the dates for the register to vote?
October 18th. Sue, what was that date again?
For which?
To register to vote?
To register to vote is October 18th. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can still register after that, but it has to be in person. I can't get any more over through the mail, and you have to have ID and residency. Mm-hmm. So.
Great. Don, you all done?
Well, I would also like to, recognize Nathan for the work that he's done on the roads. I think if you've driven around town, you can say that things look really good. I don't want to say anything bad about any neighboring town, but if you drive around and look at some of the towns that border us and some of the work that's been done, and then take a look at the work that Nathan's been able to achieve using a combination of our crew and contractor, I think that speaks for itself. And it's not that there's anything wrong, I guess, with some of the other work around us, but it's I think that it really stands out as finished, and the riding surface and the joints, and if you're into all things asphalt, you'll say it's a very tight, well done job. So thank you, Nathan and crew and contractors.
Cool. All right. Treasurer's warrant. Joe? Get your old man glasses out.
Can't believe you're making me do this.
Sorry, he has to get his old person's glasses out to magnify it.
Really?
You making fun of me, Sam?
Can you play golf?
I'll make a motion to.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere near you when you swing.
To pass a warrant for $1,122,060.18 on a warrant dated. Hang on.
Want me to read it to you, Joe?
It's today's date.
10/10/2017.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? You gotta push that away from you before you even get started.
Yeah. With my computer, I can make the font
Just sign it.
larger.
All right, anything else?
You want us to sign those?
Can I, yeah, I'm gonna pass it down a second. He didn't sign it yet. Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We're out of here.